Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the company presentation of Gentian Diagnostics. Today we will introduce you to the company and will inform you about the overall business plan of our company. We will as well enter into several details about our products, technology, and some other items. Please note that this presentation will be available as a record on our webpage, and we will address questions after this presentation. Please enter your questions into the question box which you see on this meeting platform. Let me start now with the company introduction, and I speak in the name of the entire Gentian team, stating that we deliver efficient diagnostics for better treatment decisions. We are very proud that the value of our products, which are protecting life and saving costs, which are preeminent needs in the market, are valued by our customers. And this is why we believe we are faced with a great opportunity. Speaking about the team, this is well represented by Gentian management. We have a diverse team, and we have a team with a strong experience and track record of successes. And you see on the bottom of this slide several examples of companies where we have worked for and which we have served with great successes. I think this is a good moment as well to introduce myself. My name is Hilja Ebert. I'm the CEO of the company since 2018. Before, I have worked most of my career in large medtech companies like bioMérieux, Becton Dickinson, and Rollout. And my track record is mainly in accelerating growth via innovation and organizational transformation. Today, I will be joined by Arling Sunderhagen, our CSO and founder of the company. Arling is well known for his expertise in immunoassays. Based on his inventions, he has brought many immunoassays to the market for other companies who are still strong revenue drivers for those companies. One of those companies being Access, which he has founded, and this is now part of Abbott, one of the top 5 diagnostic companies in the world. And I will be joined as well today by Njål Kind, our CFO and COO. Njål brings a strong track record in finance management and reporting, corporate governance, and investor relations. Let me introduce you now to the company. We have been founded by Arling and Bart Sunderhagen in 2001. In the meantime, we have 50 employees and achieved a revenue of 79 million NOK by the end of 2020. Since 2016, we are listed on the Oslo Stock Exchange, and we are a globally acting supplier of diagnostic reagents for the human and veterinary market. And diagnostic means that we are serving laboratories who provide results to treating clinicians to take treatment decisions. So we are not a treatment company, but we're supporting treatment decisions thanks to the information we provide via the laboratories to the clinicians. Our headquarters is in Moss, Norway, and we have sales offices in Sweden, US, and a representative office in China. So we are globally active and having a focus on the technology segment immunochemistry. And within this immunochemistry segment, we are serving the disease areas infection, inflammation, kidney failure, and as well congestive heart failure as of next year. Important to notice that we are a reagent developer. And due to that, our reagents must and are fitting to all instrument platforms which laboratories are using. And that means when a customer is interested to take one of our reagents on board, they don't need to invest in capital to get a new instrument on board. We are a technology innovator, and therefore we have decided to take advantage of the commercial reach of global commercial partners, which are mainly the instrument platform providers, and therefore having here the commercial partnership model in place. With 5 products which are in the market, Soon to come, an additional marker by the end of Q4, and early 2022, we aim to launch Antiprobmp. With our growth ambitions, we are preparing this and the coming years for increasing volume, and these targeted investments are fully funded within our business plan. Our overall plan, what are we up for, is that based on our 7 products, 5 in the market, 2 to come very soon, and in addition to this, we aim as well to bring 1 additional product to the market coming in the coming years. All of this together is serving us that we have the ambition to generate an annual NOK revenue of 1 billion within the next 5 to 7 years. And let me qualify this with stating a little bit about the market we are serving. Our serviceable market is $1.3 billion, and therefore we believe that we have here a very good opportunity to grow the company from small to a mid-size diagnostic global player. All of that will be based, beside on our product, obviously on the people behind that. We have an industry-leading team in place with strong know-how and expertise and track record in the different fields in which we are acting. And very important is that we have proven that we are able to drive strong growth. So we have delivered between 2017 and 2020 a compound growth rate of more than 30%. And this is the growth we achieved with our established product lines. In addition to this, we aim for accelerated growth coming from 2 blockbuster products. We will speak later about them. One is being in market development and the other in product development. I strongly believe that the company success is very much dependent if and what kind of industry challenge it is addressing. So you need to understand your customers, the ones who use your products, very well, and what kind of problems you can solve for them. We have identified and therefore as well chosen the volume increase of samples which need to be served by laboratories every year as one of the industry challenges, which we believe we can solve for our customers, the laboratories, the clinical laboratories. They have growing sample volumes every year in a cost-constrained environment, means they need to do more with same, in the best case, or even less resources. This drives their ambition to run efficiency programs, and that is where we contribute to those improvements, productivity improvements on a laboratory level. In addition to this, clinicians all over the world are asking the laboratories to provide them with more and important information so that they can take better treatment decisions. And there are biomarkers scientifically described, and they are even already available on certain technology platforms. But these platforms are often too slow or too inefficient so that they can serve the clinicians with information at the point when they need them. And that means that the results are available in hours or even sometimes days. So the time to result to the clinician is of key importance if a biomarker adds clinical value or not. Our solution is that we transform biomarkers which have proven to have clinical relevance from these slow and inefficient platforms to high throughput and as well fast platforms. So by doing so, we are contributing now with results being available within minutes that we have the result, that the laboratory serves the results to the clinicians within minutes, especially on a hospital setting. So the value for the laboratory is that they improve their throughput 3 to 10 times is our estimate, and with this increasing their productivity. And in addition to this, they support clinicians with the early detection of disease and the fast availability of results in order for clinicians to take better treatment decisions. little bit more details about our products. We have 7 overall products in our portfolio or in our pipeline. 4 of those products we consider to be established products, means the ones which we are selling and which are used all over the world on a routine basis. We have with GCAL 1 product in market development, means we sell it, but it has not yet that track record of a routine use biomarker, and clinical data need to be provided to clinicians and laboratories so that they adopt the marker in their routine use. And we have 2 products in development with SARS-CoV-2, a product which we aim to launch by the end of this year, and with Antiprobmp, cardiac marker, which we aim to launch in Q1 2022. And all of these products are adding the value to the laboratories by converting these biomarkers from slow and inefficient platforms to the high-throughput clinical chemistry, high-throughput instruments with fast results for clinicians. We have here an overview about the clinical benefits our biomarkers bring to the clinicians, and they are specific for each of these biomarkers. So let me take only 2 examples with this slide. With Cystatin C, which was our first product, it is addressing the disease area kidney and detecting kidney failure. And the advantage of Cystatin C is that it is detecting the reduced function of the kidney earlier than other biomarkers. And by doing so, it avoids, because clinicians can start treatment earlier, it avoids kidney failure. Another good example is FCAL, fecal calprotectin. This is a biomarker which is looking for inflammations in the guts. And by doing so, either confirms there is no inflammatory bowel disease, or yes, the likelihood that there is an inflammatory bowel disease is high. So if it is negative, it is for the treating physician much easier to decide to not send the patient to an uncomfortable, invasive and high-cost colonoscopy, and treat the patient immediately against more symptoms like a new diet. While when the results are positive, it is now a very good reason to send the patient into such the next step of diagnostic tool. We will speak later on as well about GCAL, SARS-CoV-2 and Antiprobmp, and therefore I can move already to the next slide. And speaking about the market value we are addressing. So the total in vitro diagnostic market has a value in 2020 of $74 billion. That's of course an estimate from market research data which we have acquired. Within this segment, we have the immunochemistry, as we mentioned before, and within this immunochemistry segment, there is a $7 billion total addressable market based on the disease areas we are addressing. And if we further peel the orange and going into the market which we specifically serve with our biomarkers, we are getting to a $1.3 billion market, serviceable market. 200 million of this is addressing the established products which we have looked into before. 300 million in 2020 is coming for GCAL, is infection and inflammation. And we have with Antiprobmp, the cardiac marker, an 800 million serviceable market. The market, the total addressable market is 5 to 6. The ones we are serving has already a higher growth rate with 8 to 9%. Our market share ambition is, depending on the marker, 15 to 20%. And due to our go-to-market model, we are taking a share of 30 to 50% of this. So with the established products, we have achieved by 2020 79 million NOK, which is a compound growth rate of 31%. So that means the established products are a very important part of our growth ambition, and somehow as well a solid basis for what we aim for the future. In addition to this, we believe as well that our go-to-market model has proven to be solid. We have achieved together this growth of 31%, and examples of partners which we were able to engage are Beckman Coulter, with whom we have now long-lasting contract in place on cystatin C, and we enjoy as partners the growth coming from this marker. And more recently, our partner Bühlmann has achieved a contract with Roche. Roche is the #1 diagnostic company in the world. Beckman Coulter is very soon after that, so one of the top 5 as well. And as another example is the collaboration with IDEX, which is a veterinary laboratory group, so a direct contract with an end user for our cystatin, for our canine CRP assay. To conclude, our long-term ambition, which is a revenue ambition of 1 billion NOK on an annual basis within 5 to 7 years, is based on our established products, where we assume to achieve on an annual basis 20 or more % growth from these products. This to be accelerated by GCAL, our sepsis and our infection and inflammation marker, and Antiprobmp, which is addressing the cardiac market. In addition to this, we aim to launch 1 additional product per year going forward. We aim as well to gain new commercial contracts, 1 per year with a global commercial partner. And from a financial point of view, we aim to improve our gross margin throughout the years from today 50 to 60% by the end of this 5 to 7 year period. All of that together, revenue growth, gross margin improvement, will then lead to an ambition of 40% EBITDA margin. What can you expect within the next 18 months? On our established products, we aim to gain additional commercial partners who will support our growth ambitions for that part of our product line. In addition to this, because of the new partners, but as well for our direct efforts, we aim to achieve additional regulatory approvals, means access to additional countries. And one of the most milestones within this is the new European in vitro diagnostic regulation, which has a deadline of May 2022, and we are tracking well against that goal. For GCAL, we continue our clinical evidence program. So we have, in addition to the studies which are already published in the meantime, 6 additional studies ongoing. This automatically brings us in close contact with key opinion leaders all over the world. And as well, based on the outcome, which so far was very positive, the endorsement of those key opinion leaders means they recommend to use such a biomarker in routine. And we aim as well, based on the good clinical data, to secure and gain global commercial partners for the commercial rollout of GCAL to start with in Europe, and then more to come after. By the end of this year, we will bring with SARS-CoV-2 antibody test, a marker which we believe is important after the acute phase of the COVID outbreak. And the question will be there, how is the immune status of the population or individuals after they have been through the disease, or as well after vaccination. This is our contribution based on our experience to this pandemic. In addition to this, we believe as well that as we have learned how to very fast develop a product in a pandemic situation, we are as well now ready to serve future pandemics faster, even faster than we did with SARS-CoV-2 antibody. We aim to gain commercial partners, especially with focus on the Nordics region. And with Antiprobmp, we aim to finish verification by the end of this year, which will then trigger the launch in Q1 2022 in in parallel, and until the end of this year, we plan to have a publication on the reference method, which is supporting the standardization of assays in the market all over the world. And based on all this information, we aim, of course, as well, based on our go-to-market model, to secure first commercial partners, as well based on key opinion leader endorsement. And we have started this with a scientific advisory board, and that is a very fruitful collaboration with key opinion leaders at this point. And obviously, we continue to explore and enter into proof of concept with additional biomarkers to secure the launch of additional products after 2022. This was the introduction to the company and our overall growth plan. With the next part of this presentation, we would like to dive now a little bit deeper into certain items. And let's start with products and our pipeline. I had mentioned before the established products. So here a little bit more details about the 4 products, Cystatin C, fCAL, Canine CRP, and fPELA, how we aim to continue with the growth, and what we have achieved so far. We had mentioned before, we achieved a compound growth rate and achieved 79 million NOK. 63 of these had been the product sales. We have as well additional sales and revenue coming from grants and other sources. We had mentioned already before that we are addressing with these products a serviceable market of $200 million, which is assumed to grow 5 to 10% on an annual basis. And the major growth will come from increase of demand from existing customers and gaining new commercial partners, and with this additional access to the different markets in which we are acting. One of our blockbusters, GCAL, Calprotectin in serum and plasma. It is scientifically well described that measuring and quantifying this biomarker in serum and plasma supports the early detection of inflammation or infection. We have realized that the time is very important, especially for the infection part. The results need to be available within minutes. The patient is in the emergency room or is on the intensive care unit developing certain symptoms. Clinicians need information within minutes to know, I should start a certain treatment because this and other biomarkers have supported my suspicion that there is something going into the direction which requires treatment. Sepsis is one of the severe outcomes of an infection, and it's a disease which can be avoided when you start treating an infection early on. And 11 million people are dying every year, and that is where we are very proud that our biomarker is positively discussed in clinical studies as a potential biomarker to support clinicians in avoiding the sepsis, and as COVID-19 is very close and similar to sepsis, as well the COVID-19 disease. The market we are serving is in 2020 estimated to be $300 million. A very high growth rate is assumed based on the importance of infectious diseases and the very strong need of clinicians to gain more information for their decision-making process. And therefore, the market by the end of 2026 is estimated to be close to $700 million. What do we define here as our milestones? We continue with clinical evidence and demonstrating the value of fast results and early detection in the field of sepsis and COVID-19, the avoidance of these diseases. 6 studies are ongoing in this field. We are adopting the endorsement of key opinion leaders by doing so with the clinical studies, and with the positive communication and as well the feedback from early adopters, means end users which are starting to use this biomarker in routine. We are aiming to secure global commercial partners within 2021 and going forward. I would like to recognize here the vision Arling had when he had started to think about Calprotectin on an immunochemistry platform, on a clinical chemistry, high throughput and fast analyzer. And therefore, I would like to ask Arling to speak a little bit more about the clinical value of GCAL, followed then by an introduction to Antiprobmp and SARS-CoV-2, followed then by an introduction into our technology on which all our products are based. Arling, please take over.
Thank you, Hilja. It's important for me personally that we succeed in developing the market for GCAL. This is a product I've been working on since 2013, based on the hypothesis that it can support early detection of severe infectious disease. As this hypothesis is gradually being confirmed, we are increasingly confident that we have a product which has the potential to protect life at a big scale. Our view on the market need has been further validated by Colorama, the leading provider of diagnostic market data. In their latest report on the global market, they called for a solution to the growing problem of sepsis. Sepsis is a blood poisoning caused by high numbers of bacteria in the blood, which kills millions of people each year. There is no gold standard for diagnosis in this clinical setting, and our GCAL product has the potential to become the gold standard for such diagnosis. Back when we first discovered the potential of bringing Calprotectin testing to the high-throughput analyzers, sepsis really stood out as an area where we could contribute greatly. Since then, the problem of sepsis has been further accelerated by the COVID-19 epidemic, and the attention of potential solutions has increased. Bacterial poisoning of the blood in sepsis is the most common end-stage disease in the virus epidemias. Still, GCAL differs from other products in our portfolio because it is not an established product marker, and it needs a lot more of market development ourselves to achieve a meaningful adoption rate. In my opinion, the ability to make a positive impact on sepsis with GCAL in the ongoing and future pandemics will be demonstrated by 2022 and 2023. Antiprobmp is a different story altogether compared to GCAL. It's a biomarker already established in the market for the disease we target. Our version comes with an additional benefit of bringing test results faster while improving productivity in the labs. This is important because Antiprobmp testing should be available around the clock using high-throughput analyzers. Our goal is to bring this product through verification this year and to launch it in Q1 next year. The market for this product is significant at $800 million, and it's growing. As we see it, adoption rates will depend more on securing global commercial partnerships than clinical studies. The reason is that the relevance of the biomarker has already been validated, and still, when talking to laboratories, we found that there is a real demand for standardization of results. I will go a bit more into details on what we are working on to meet this demand in the next slide. Antiprobmp tests measure antiprobmp molecules in blood plasma. The more accurate this can be then measured, the more accurate the diagnosis will be. There is currently no reference method for this assay, which means that consistency is a challenge. Lacking consistency impacts the ability to make good treatment decisions, and therefore lacking standardization is a concern among laboratory management and clinicians. Gentian has solved a very underlying issue that exists with this test because glycosylation carbohydrate chains on the molecule leads to inconsistent results. Due to the use of antibodies avoiding interference from carbohydrates, we are able to determine the deviation between our new method and the prior art. In the prior art, the antibodies are influenced by the carbohydrate chains sitting on the Antiprobmp molecules, and so far the results indicate that the mathematical transfer of the results in the new technology can be used to obtain the results obtained in the prior art. If these results hold up, in the further studies we can apply a conversion factor which enable correct calibrations for routine use on high-throughput clinical analyzers. This will make it easier for the laboratories to start using our product. If not, achieving our target market share will likely require some more market development efforts. We expect investigations to be concluded in Q3 this year and will update the market when results are available. We have all been affected by the COVID-19 epidemic in different ways, and with the capabilities we have as a company had a responsibility to contribute. Our mission here is to make a test that support efficient monitoring and management of the virus. This product is currently in validation phase, and we are on track for launch before the year end. Note that the commercial potential is likely limited as we target commercialization in the Nordics only. The spread and tail of the virus epidemic will also be a determining factor here. Still, creating a platform for developing new tests for future pandemics can be of considerable strategic value for the company as we see it. Our R&D team consists of 13 highly competent and committed professionals that are constantly evaluating new opportunities. The process is that we first do proof of concept studies and then optimization studies before we bring potential products into formal development with assigned resources. Currently, we are working on 3 different biomarkers yet to be announced, targeting inflammation and infections as well as cancer. This supports our ambition of bringing 1 new product to market on average, also beyond the already announced SARS-CoV-19 antibodies and the Antiprobmp tests. The profile in terms of commercial potential is similar to what you have seen over the past years. It's a mix of established high-volume markers and emerging markers. I look forward to share more details on our next products as we make it through the proof of concept phases. All our products are based on our know-how on particle-enhanced turbidimetric immunoassay technology. This enables moving immunoassays from slow platforms to high-throughput analyzers. We've already talked about this, about the benefits, but how do we do this? We are developing assays for the faster platforms, which often requires the ability to perform analysis at lower concentrations. This is where our expertise in avian antibodies comes in. As opposed to the mammalian antibodies, the avian antibodies extracted from chicken eggs lacks the so-called complement system, which binds antibodies and molecules. As such, the often cited industry challenge of dealing with interference is avoided. A perfect example of this is our cystatin C product. We would never have been able to create such a product without this ability to combine the avian antibodies and the particle-enhanced turbidimetric immunoassays. That said, avian antibodies are not always the best solution, but when it is, it's a differentiation factor that enables us to make standout products. In addition, extraction of avian antibodies can be less costly at scale, providing an economic benefit for the company and for customers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Arling. So we have shared with you details about what we have achieved and what we aim to achieve. Let me talk now a little bit more in detail about how we want to achieve, and that is mainly based on our development process and as well on our go-to-market model. So Arling talked already a little bit about how we get ideas through our process of the product development. And everything starts with the ideation phase, exploration, which is a less structured process step where we allow ideas, where we listen to customers, where we listen to other stakeholders in the market, where we see the mix of emerging markers and markers which are well established, but still not available on efficient and fast platforms. And as soon as a marker gets through this exploration phase, market value and technical feasibility is positive, it is then entered into the proof of concept phase, where we put already much more structured and higher resources against this marker. So as you can see, we have currently 3 markers in the exploration and proof of concept phase. Due to the likelihood of potential failure of these ideas and projects, we will speak publicly about those markers at the end, after the achievement of the proof of concept phase, means when the products are in the optimization phase. We have exceptions of this communication policy, obviously, but this is our general communication strategy. We have currently now with Antiprobmp a high value marker for cardiac diseases with high ambitions, and we have the ambition to move Antiprobmp by the end of this year from the optimization phase, which is normally the longest phase, into verification. So recipes, processes, everything of this is developed. Now we need to verify that more or less in routine production setting that it works, that we get a robust and reliable product in higher volumes as well within these processes. Before the product is then moved into the validation phase where the product is produced under final conditions and is tested against routine use conditions. And this is where we have SARS-CoV-2 currently in the pipeline. And then you have the launch, and R&D hands over the product finally to production and to commercial teams. Speaking about the commercial rollout of our products, as I had mentioned before, we are technology innovator and focus our resources mainly on the R&D, regulatory and production part of the entire product value chain. We have a very good relationship with global diagnostic companies and believe this can be even strengthened and more partnerships to be established with all our products. And with this, we have access to thousands of sales representatives in all countries of the world. In addition to this, we believe as well, as a technology innovator, we need to be close to our end users. And this can be only on a selective basis due to the resources we can invest into commercial affairs, but we did that, and that we did with great success because first, we support our global diagnostic company partners better with marketing and co-sales activities. But on the other hand, we understand our end users, which are the healthcare providers on the right side of this slide, better. So on a selective basis, we are serving those sites which are mainly the key opinion leader, university hospitals, and as well as the very high volume private and as well sometimes called reference laboratories of this world. In the middle, you see specialized distributors. We would like to leverage all opportunities, and therefore there are, with our direct efforts and as well with our global partners, always markets or platforms not addressed. And for those areas, we are engaging, we have engaged and we plan to engage more as well with specialized distributors. These are the ones who sell as well instrument platform of global diagnostic companies, and they sell as well then our reagents to the same customers. So in this case, they bundle all the good things together. We would like now to go a little bit deeper again into our market and our capital priorities in context of our long-term ambitions. And there you are in the very good hands of Njål Kind. Njål, please take over.
Thank you, Hilja. I will now cover some more details regarding the market, our capital priorities, and long-term ambitions. As Hilja mentioned, the total IVD market is about $74 billion of annual sales. Our markers represent about $7.1 billion of addressable market, and our serviceable market is about $1.3 billion. A key feature of Gentian is our established product portfolio. We already have 4 markers which are established in the market and which are growing by approximately 30% per year if we look at the period from 2017 to 2020. We believe that this portfolio has a substantial potential going forward. Although the annual market growth is projected to 5 to 10% growth per annum, we believe that we can take market share, and we believe that this portfolio can grow by approximately 20% per year in the years forward. A major revenue potential is our GCAL product. This product is currently in market development, meaning that we are running a series of clinical studies to show the relevance of GCAL compared to other infection markers out there. We believe that the serviceable market for this product is about $300 million. And we aim for a market share long-term of 15% of this market. Our biggest product opportunity currently in the portfolio is the Antiprobmp marker. We see a total serviceable market of $800 million, and we believe that we can capture 15% market share of that serviceable market. We also have the SARS-CoV-2 antibody assay, which is scheduled for launch later this year. We have not calculated a significant potential from this marker yet, and it's also uncertain as to for how long that marker will be relevant. So in this overview, we have not calculated or estimated any potentials from the 3 markers that we have in exploratory phase. So the potential from those markers will come on top of this potential that I mentioned. Based on this market analysis and our ambitious market shares, we believe that we can reach 1 billion NOK sales within a 5 to 7 year time frame. We will do that by growing the established product portfolio with at least 20% per year. Historically, it's been about 30% per year. Secondly, we will prove the clinical relevance of GCAL, both for sepsis and also for COVID-19 management, in which it has proven relevant. We will launch 1 new product per year, and in the foreseeable future, we have SARS-CoV-2 antibody scheduled for launch in Q4 of this year, and we have the Antiprobmp assay scheduled for launch in Q1 2022. In addition to this, we aim to secure 1 new contract with a global commercial partner every year, and we will build on our established partnerships. And in addition, we will develop new partnerships. With growing sales, we believe that we will benefit from economies of scale, and from those economies of scale, we will be able to grow the gross margin from about 45% currently to above 60% at the higher revenue level. With that, we also believe that it will be possible to achieve an EBITDA margin in the long term of about 40%. That comes also from a very lean operation here in Norway. Just a snapshot of where we are today. The company achieved sales of 20 million NOK in the first quarter of 2020. That's up 21% compared to the same quarter last year. We improved our EBITDA by 3 million, and we had an EBITDA of minus 2 million for the first quarter of 21. If we look at the underlying operation, it is already break even. And if we had taken away R&D, which we are not planning to do, by the way, we would have had a profitable operation. So running with losses, there is always the question of the capital resources available. We have about 146 million of cash available at the end of the first quarter this year. And we believe that that cash is sufficient to realize the current business plan. So we say that we are fully funded on the current business plan. Thank you. Back to you, Hilja.
Thank you very much, Njord. So let's conclude of what we have reviewed today. We have 7 products in our portfolio and pipeline. Those products are contributing to the preeminent needs of our customers, saving costs and protecting life. And due to the value we provide, we have the ambition to grow our revenue of within the next 5 to 7 years to 1 billion NOK. This is all based on an industry-leading team with strong know-how and expertise. And we have delivered already during the years 2017 to 2020 30% compound growth rate, and therefore we are up for continuing this journey and even with acceleration thanks to GCAL and Antiprobmp. Thank you very much for your attention today, and we are now ready to take your questions.
All right, so we are now in the Q&A session of this presentation. We have received a fairly large amount of questions, so we will cover as much as we can in about 10 minutes time frame. So we'll just get to it here. The first question relates to some news yesterday. And the question reads, you got approval for listing on the Oslo Stock Exchange after having traded on Euronext Growth since 2016. Do you expect this to have any material impact on the company? And yeah, I'm happy to answer that question. And for Gentian, this transfer of listing is more about the maturity of the company. We have now reached a level in our development where we feel that it is natural to transfer the listing into a regulated market. We also, as you have seen today, we also are at the phase where we have put out more details about our strategy and business plan. And we believe that when we transfer to the Oslo Stock Exchange, that we will have access to additional high quality investors, and we will also be more visible, and we might get more attention for the company. Next question here, and I think Hilja, you can try to answer this one. The question reads, the company launched its first product in 2006, and still sales are only at 63 million for 2020. Why should we believe in a 1 billion revenue in just 5 to 7 years?
Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you. The specifics for the diagnostics industry is the long ramp-up time. So bringing a new product to market, a conservative estimate is 10 years to achieve the peak sales. And even with Cystatin C, which you have mentioned in your question, we assume we have not reached peak sales yet. So it's even longer than that. And with this life cycle time of these products, and these are the good news, is as well respectively long and much longer than in many other industries. So this is one of the reasons why from starting a company until you realize first reasonable sales takes long. When you have it, it's recurring. This is what you can see as well. Contracts are long lasting. And so this is why we are speaking about an acceleration of growth. How do we achieve now in the next 5 to 7 years this ramp up? And this is based mainly on having more products, fast development of new products, bringing more products to market, adding up here the portfolio, and in addition to this, with the existing products, increasing the demand in the market. We have competitive conversions, leveraging the market increase within our existing customers, and especially our investments in the past in the commercial affairs, co-marketing, co-selling with our commercial partners. And I think this is probably a good question as well for Arling, because he has done that before.
Yes, several of our colleagues, we have participated in the international development of the AxoShield company 15 years ago, and we are in fact quite experienced in following such a development like we here see. And we see the Gentian development maybe even ahead of the experience you have from the AxoShield company.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Erling. Thank you, Hilja. We'll jump into the next question here, and it relates to our commercial strategy. It reads, you mentioned that your main strategy for commercial rollout is partnerships with global diagnostic companies. What hurdles do you need to overcome to secure such partnerships, and how many such dialogues do you have currently ongoing? Hilja, I think this is for you to answer.
Yes, I would not call the milestones to get to a contract with a global diagnostic company as hurdles. I have worked so many years in those, and the good news is that we have the same objective, small company, large company, which is growth. So the first thing is what we need to achieve as a milestone is to make global diagnostic partners aware of our biomarker, and that it is relevant and that there is a need in the market. And that is what we achieve by our direct efforts and clinical affairs efforts, clinical studies, clinical proof sources, reference customers, probably even more than that, some routine users to prove, yes, there is demand, and together we can achieve so much more. And these contracts then, when we have gained the priority on the list of potential additional markers for the global companies, these take long. That is a normal process, lots of lawyers involved, and therefore this is what makes it specific working with those partners. We have to be patient. We have to follow here the process. Negotiations are taking long, and yes, we are speaking today with many of those partners, but here is as well something specific. They don't like that we would speak about that. These are confidential negotiations.
Right, thank you, Hilja. We have a question, and back to the 1 billion ambition that we have articulated today, and the question reads, what are the main risks related to the 1 billion ambition as you see it? Yeah, I'm happy to answer that question. So, as we said, we have a portfolio of established products that we estimate will grow by 20% plus per year. We don't see any significant risks related to the established product portfolio. Then we have two major product opportunities, in which GCAL is the first product opportunity. That product is developed, so it is no technical risks related to the product, but it needs to be adopted in the market. And although we are following a classical route to market development by establishing clinical evidence for the market and then marketing the product both towards big system providers and to individual customers like hospitals and universities. Of course, there is always risks related to that market development. The next marker is Antiprobmp, which is still in development. So for that marker, we have both technical risk and commercial risk, although we believe that the commercial risk is lower than for GCAL, since this is an established marker. But obviously, if we face delays or problems in the technical development, then it may take longer before it reaches the market. So I would say that are our main risks in reaching this ambitious goal of 1 billion in a 5 to 7 year time frame. Next question here goes into approvals and guidelines, Hilja, and it reads, you mentioned growth through commercial partners and regulatory approvals, but could you talk about the importance of adaptation into national guidelines as a driver for revenue? And more specifically, how important is adoption into guidelines for a novel marker as GCAL?
Yeah, it's important, and this is why we invested significant resources into clinical affairs and respectively in clinical studies, because you will never make it into national guidelines if the clinical evidence is not proven by independent, highly qualified clinical institutions, mainly university hospitals. So this is where we started the program in Sweden and have rolled it out in the meantime to many European countries, and focusing first on this region, which we know best. And with those key opinion leaders in which we are working, the dialogue then on a national level starts, and the company is not really involved in national guideline discussions. This is often, not always, but often the case that this is happening within these associations, expert gremium, where a forum where the groups then start to establish guidelines to put it on a certain list of biomarkers which should be checked when a patient comes with fever, etc. Yes, this is the reason why we do all of that, and this will most likely happen if you continue to have these good clinical study publications.
All right, thank you, Julia. We have time for I think one more question, and then we will wrap it up. And the question is it's a bit outside the presentation actually, but let's see. Are you planning on developing a point of care system and for instance something called the SpectroFlow, which receive public grants? Would you like to answer that, Julia?
Yeah, we have talked about our serviceable market, and being 1.3 billion US dollar, and that this market is growing faster than the average growth of the remaining or the total market. So we are looking for those markets which are demonstrate and assumed higher growth than the average. And point of care is definitely one of those markets. There is a need for having results available while the patient and the physicians are still in interaction. This is the near patient testing field. And yes, this is why we are looking into such a market as well, early exploration.
All right, thank you, Hilja. This is all we have time for in this session. I know that many of you have asked questions that we have not had the possibility to answer, and we will try to get back to all of you by email on those questions directly. But Hilja, you might wanna just close off the session and the presentation.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your interest in our company, and as Njål mentioned, we are happy to take your questions individually and follow up by email, but as well by phone. And yes, I look forward to continue the engagement, and hopefully as well soon again in a face-to-face meeting with many of you. Goodbye, everybody.